Yes, it's John G. Sutton here. Thank you very much for watching this Tales from the Jails. I want to go back with this to some time when I was at HM Prison, Wormwood Scrubs in London, and the year was 1976. And for some reason, I'd been on escort duty and I came back and that was it. I was off for the afternoon. So I came home and it would be about 2:30. And as I was walking up to my quarter, which I lived in a prison quarter, which was on Bromyard Avenue, East Acton. Give it a Google, it's there. Bromyard Avenue, East Acton. And it was a series of maisonettes. I lived in the middle maisonette. Anyway, as I was walking up to my quarter, I saw a prisoner that I recognised on inside the block of masonettes, and it was a prisoner off D Wing who was serving towards the end of a long-term sentence. I said to this prisoner, I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, I've been left here to paint the stairs. You know, the iron." I said, "Where's the staff? Where's the officer?" "Oh, there is no officer." He said, "They've just left me to it." I said, "Right, go back to the prison." He said, "Oh, but I've been sent here by the works department." I said, "Well, I am an officer, and I am sending you back to Wormwood Scrubs prison. You should not be here unless you're escorted by a member of the prison staff. So go back to the prison." I said, "In fact," I said, "don't go back to the prison. I am going to take you back to the prison." So I turned round and I escorted this prisoner back into Wormwood Scrubs prison, took him back to D Wing and put him on D Wing, which is where he was at the end of a life sentence. You know, I don't know, if murder or something like that. And then I went to see the chief officer and told him what I'd done. I said, "By the way," the chief officer, bang, bang, bang on the opposite door, "What do you want?" "Mr. Sutton here." "Yeah, what do you want?" I said, "I've just returned such and such an officer, a prisoner, to his cell. There was no officer present. He was in there on his own, unsupervised." I said, "And my wife and family are in that prison quarter block on Bromyard Avenue where I live." I said, "And you're sending convicted murderers without supervision, with free access to the entire married quarters area, and we're locking these people up, and you're putting them in without supervision." He said, "Well, how else are we going to get them back into society?" I said, "You will not do that." I said, "In the event that you do it again," I said, "you'll be reading about yourself in the press." I said, "So you tell that to the governor, tell that to the head of the works department, and I'm telling you, you will not put unsupervised prisoners serving a prison sentence to work anywhere near my family." And I said, "And you can write that in my report. Don't care, don't do it again." That was me to the number one chief officer. I was bloody fuming. You can, well, I mean, I knew these people. They were dangerous bastards. I mean, this guy, I don't know how many he'd murdered, but he'd murdered people. And the bloody stupid prison was allowing him to go and work unsupervised in the accommodation where myself, my wife, and my family lived. I mean, who's to say that he's safe? He hadn't been before the parole board. They hadn't agreed to let him out. No, he was still serving his prison sentence. That's, I tell you, the senior management weren't fit to shovel shit from one bag to another. Seriously. Anyway, I told you previously I've been involved in a fracas with the idiots outside who had attacked me in a public house, and I'd been charged by the police. Well, subsequently that charge by the police was heard. I was charged with actual bodily harm and taken for trial. I elected to go for trial by jury at Crown Court. And of course the problem was if you elected to do that, then you were, because I was employed, I had to pay. I didn't get legal aid. I had to pay. So one way or the other, I'm going to have my day in court. So we get to Knightsbridge Crown Court. Yeah, it was sometime in, I think it was November. Anyway, at Knightsbridge Crown Court, before the jury, I was questioned about my actions, and I explained that quite sincerely I had defended myself, and that was it. So it took a little while, but the jury listened to what I got to say, and I was found, of course, not guilty, because I wouldn't go assaulting people, despite the fact that there was three big men attacked me, and three big men went down. One of them went in with a somewhat damage to his skull. I don't know, maybe he'd fallen or something. But anyway, not guilty, and that was it. So I came back not guilty. It was less than a couple of weeks later. I was going back into my quarter again at Bromyard Avenue. These louts were waiting for me, and as I actually dodged past them this time and started to run up the stairs to where I don't want any trouble, and really, as a responsible person, it's my duty to get myself out of trouble, not by. Anyway, this big lad, who was the leader of all these nutters, who was the son of the principal officer in charge of the Prison Officers Association at Wormwood Scrubs, chased me up the stairs, and before I could get to my accommodation, grabbed hold of me and started to attempt to do what he'd failed to do when he attacked me in the public house. Except he couldn't do it. He just wasn't. He hadn't got. Obviously he'd been a bit of a lad with all his mates, who couldn't handle themselves. So I gave him what his daddy should have given him, actually. A really serious good hiding. Do you know? That went to court as well. The police came and took him away, The police came and actually took him. And they said they were going to charge him. I left it with the police, this was where I lived, I wasn't going out looking for anybody. I was going back to my accommodation with my wife and my child. And this man had attacked me. And, of course, he came unstuck. But the police came and took him away. They said they were going to arrest and charge him. And a week or so went by, and in the post I got a summons. I'd been charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm. Me, charged with this. Yeah. It was a private summons. This lad's father, had actually taken out a summons against me, and the court had issued the summons, so I had to go back to my solicitors, tell them what had happened, and we cross-summonsed. This is a mess. Don't forget, I'm not being funded by legal aid. The police who'd said they were going to charge him didn't charge him. This was the old funny handshakes game. Yeah, that's what was happening. And I was paying out for my defence to my lawyers, who were called Mishcon & Co. Mischon, Mishcon & Co. You look them up. They act for the Queen. They cost me an absolute fortune. But we went to court, and the cases were both heard. My case against him for attacking me and his case against me was heard as one case at the Magistrates' Court at Acton. And I was found not guilty by the magistrates, and the lout that had attacked me was found guilty, and he was given a fine and a criminal record and I was exonerated. But this was the second time that had happened to me. So that was that. I was called up by HQ, the Home Office. I had to go to the Home Office HQ, Stag Place, I believe it is. Went to see the regional director. Me seeing the regional director. Yeah. Took me into his office, said, Mr. Sutton? I said, yes. Said, you see that wall there? There's a wall with a map of Great Britain and little flags all over it. He said, you see those flags there? He said, those represent prisons. He said, I want you to pick one of those and tell me which one you want to go to, because that's where you're going. I said, Manchester will be fine. Where I came from, I'll go back to Manchester. Get out of my office. So I went out of his office, no niceties about it. Back to Wormwood Scrubs, in uniform again. Went to see the chief officer. He said, you don't need to get into uni. You don't need to wear a uniform here anymore. He said, you've finished. He said, you're at Manchester on Monday. Now get out and don't come back to this prison again. I thought, that's a very nice thing to say to an officer, isn't it? Yeah, turf me out. Banned from Wormwood Scrubs. How sad is that? The miserable bastards. Anyway, I ended up back at Strange Ways. Tales from the jails.